our Titans Jam presentations. There have been a lot of things throughout high school that have helped me through high school, including my family, the extracurricular activities that I've been involved in, as well as the hobbies outside of school. My family include my mom and dad, who are Don and Cheryl Harris, and then my brother Zach and my late brother Kyle. The extracurriculars I've been involved in are volleyball and golf for the sports, and I've also been involved in NHS, student council, large group speech and individual speech, FFA, band, and school plays. I'm probably forgetting a lot. It's just been a very busy high school 4 years for me. Some of the hobbies I really enjoy doing outside of school are hanging out with my friends and going to family events, as well as volunteering around my community. Volunteering has been a big part of my life, as you'll see later on in my presentation. These pictures are just some pictures that show some of the things that have helped me through high school. For example, my family, my aunt and uncle Denny and Lisa, my brother and my mom and dad, and just some of the activities I've been involved in throughout high school. Moving into my academic performances through my test scores, which are my Iowa assessments and ACT are what I really focused on. I've been proficient in all of my Iowa assessment scores. I've noticed that during my freshman year, when I took all the tests, it seemed like my scores were a little lower. I remember back to when I had really bad test anxiety. When I was a freshman, I definitely freaked out on every test I took. And even back in middle school, when I had Mr. Deercup as a teacher, any test I took, it was just really bad test anxiety. Then, moving on into my, it would have been junior year, they just kind of were a breeze for me. I kind of relaxed myself and finally did the scores I could actually get on them. Then moving into my ACT, I would have liked to get a higher score than a 20. Part of that is due to just going and taking it without studying beforehand. But this summer I hope to take it again and get a higher score in order to get scholarships at UNI, which is the college I will be going to next year. Another academic performance I've had throughout high school is my cumulative GPA. I have a 3.96 GPA throughout high school, and the one class that is keeping me away from a 4.0 was my sophomore year in English. I got an A- at the end of the year. Along with having this high GPA, I am the valedictorian of our class, and this is a great honor because it shows that even though I was involved in many things, I was able to keep up my grades and have hard work throughout high school. Moving into my first artifact is a trig artifact. This is my math class that I'm taking this year in my senior year. It was kind of difficult for me to push myself to take this class this year because I took a year off of math due to scheduling problems during my junior year. So starting in 8th grade with Algebra 1, there's a lot of growth that I've seen just through the tests that I've taken, which the test you'll see in my book there. It shows me the growth because of seeing the difficulty of the equations and just a lot of the examples I've had to go through in trig from Algebra 1 there's a big difference there. The main reason for choosing this test was because it showed that I was able to comprehend and remember everything that I learned throughout the semester. Remembering everything may have been a little difficult for most people due to there's so much we learned and so much we went over. But being able to take this test really showed that I was able to accomplish and succeed in this class. Something that went really well, like I said, I was able to remember everything, but also the difficulty really helped me push myself and become better at some of the things that were a part of the trigonometry class. Something I learned from this was that taking the harder math classes is going to help me in college. If I would have stayed with just taking Algebra 2, it may have been a little difficult and I could have risked having to take harder math classes in college, which I would have most likely struggled because I wouldn't have had the knowledge from trig. My next artifact is definitely my favorite artifact, just because it was something new I got to experience throughout high school. When I came into high school, any plant we had at home, it kind of seemed like I couldn't keep it alive to save my life. It was just, any plant, well even now, like, it's just a difference from the, I guess, being out in the greenhouse and having the warm temperatures. Even just to my house, my dad's like, how can you not keep these plants alive? I'm like, Dad, it's a lot different from the greenhouse into the house. So it's just kind of, it's been a great experience for me. So a lot of the tasks out in the greenhouse include business due to having the sales that we have out in the greenhouse. When I started last year as the greenhouse manager, we only had 2 sales, which included the poinsettia sale and the geranium sale. And this year, we actually have had, I think, 3 sales. We had the poinsettia sale again. We're currently with the geranium sale, but we've also had petunias, and then we have a couple mixed baskets out there now. And we also did a sale, let's see, from, what was it? There was another sale that we did, and it was, we added it on to this instead of just doing the 2 sales. Some successes we've had out there is that we've produced nice looking plants. I've gotten a couple texts from my aunt just a couple weeks ago showing me a picture of one of the poinsettias we had around Christmas time, still looking very beautiful and about the same it looked when it went out of the greenhouse. A couple problems we've had, especially this year, is more due to the fungus and bug side of things. Not so much fungus, but we've had a lot of bugs out there. We've had little bugs called aphids and whiteflies, and it's been super hard to get rid of them due to they like being in the warm climate, and they don't like going out once they're in there. So, and they just kind of congregate on all the plants when they're out there. So we've tried a couple different things because my teacher, Mr. Benedict, won't let me deal with the chemicals and stuff, so he always takes care of that. But kind of a funny story, when I went in there a couple weekends ago, he had sprayed like this cobalt stuff, and he says, this is the strongest stuff, I don't know if I should be using this on the plants. That scared me, but he knows what he's doing, I guess. So I walk in there, and it just stunk really bad. So I text him, I'm like, Mr. B, it stinks super bad in there. He's like, get over it. I'm like, he kind of just jokes around with me and tells me to get over it, kind of like someone else I know. A really good comparison to biology with this artifact. In biology, we mainly focus on doing some labs and learning from the book. But with being the greenhouse manager, I've gotten to experience hands-on work and really enjoyed being out there. I've always told people that being out in the greenhouse has been my stress reliever throughout high school. My next artifact is my Composition 2 paper over the Holocaust conspiracy theory. This artifact, the main reason I chose this artifact was because it was for a college course, which is really, I guess, an accomplishment for me because when I was in high school, or I guess I still am, during my English classes in high school, I definitely struggled with writing papers. I was always having to get help and having to have somebody guide me along the whole entire way. But finally, with this paper, I kind of came out of my shell and was able to write this paper on my own. I was able to research all the information as well as take a lot of notes and make an outline in order to write this paper. Something that went really well with this paper is that I found enough info in order to meet the requirements that the teacher set for me. She always gave us an amount of pages that we had to do, and this one was 5 to 7 pages, which I ended up having a 6-page paper, I think, as it is in there, with the 7th page being the works cited page. This, like I said, something that went really well was that I was able to construct this paper by myself. It was a great accomplishment. I was able to do it, so that meant a lot to me. Something that I definitely could improve, not just on this assignment, but on a lot of assignments, was definitely the procrastination. I definitely found myself the Sunday afternoon before it was due writing a paper. I mean, yes, I've always been told you do your best work when you procrastinate, but in reality you don't. I definitely found more stress and had more people just agging at me and telling me, you gotta get it done, you gotta get it done. So that would be definitely something I could improve on, not just with this artifact, but with a lot of artifacts. Something I really learned was how to construct a well-written paper on my own. Like I said, this paper was really the first paper that I can actually say that I opened up and was able to do really well on this paper. Like I said before, the growth between writing papers in my high school English classes to writing papers for my college courses was really different because for this class we had to actually write an MLA and APA. Up until this class I never had to write an APA, which was in some points easier but some different. So a lot of growth is shown from my high school classes to my college classes. My next artifact is the government campaign we did last year during my junior year. This was a mock campaign for the Iowa State Representative for Iowa, and this was actually the first time he had a class do a state representative. Mr. Fulton has always had the kids do a campaign for for a president of the United States, but this year he decided to do it kind of different for our class. I really chose this artifact because it showed great leadership skills for myself. When we started the artifact, we definitely had to assign somebody to be the campaign manager, and my group decided that I could be the campaign manager because I was very organized and was able to work well with others. So the leadership skills that I learned from this definitely was why I chose the artifact. Something that went really well with this artifact is that we had great teamwork. There was some times where we heard the other group, or even sometimes when we heard ourselves, that we were arguing about something, or there was something that we didn't agree on. But eventually we just kind of came to a consensus and figured things out. Something that could have gone better was, and like I said, really in anything, communication can always be better. There was times where there would be some people just sitting there not doing anything, when in reality I could have communicated with them, being the campaign manager. I could have communicated with them and gave them something to do or asked them what they were going to plan to do later. The main thing that I learned from this is that teamwork really does lead to success. There are some times where teamwork or small group work doesn't work all the time. But in reality, when you're able to work as a team, things do succeed. My next artifact is my STEM artifact, which is a crop identification book from agronomy. This was kind of difficult for me because I'm not really from a family that plants crops and does all that kind of farming stuff. But being in FFA and being in the A classes have taught me a lot. So the assignment was to look up 25 different crops. So at first I'm like, well, I'll look up corn and beans and wheat, all the ones that are around here. And then I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, no, it'll be a lot more fun learning about crops. And honestly, some of them that I didn't even know about. So that was kind of my main goal, is to find 25 different crops that I really didn't know much about. So I chose this book because it showed I was able to create a book that people could actually look at and learn from. There's so many books out there that seem like they just continue on, and this book really showed that you can get a lot of information on one page. Something that went well was the part of coming up with the ideas. Like I said, it was my goal to find 25 different crops that I really hadn't heard about, but then again, it was easy finding the research, and it went really well finding the research. Once again, something I could improve on is the procrastination part in this artifact. I found my information and had all my information together, and then I kind of waited till 2 days before, or that weekend before, to create the book. Yes, it wasn't hard. It was finding a template on PowerPoint and using that, but once again, the procrastination part definitely could have been better than what it was. Something I learned from this artifact is that, well, the many new facts about the crops, but also that it takes a lot of time to create a nice looking thing. There are some times where the procrastination part does come in and you just kind of get it done to get it done. But in all of my artifacts, I've definitely put the time in and mainly used my time wisely. The growth that I've definitely seen throughout all of my classes and FFA is obviously the knowledge about agriculture, but definitely the leadership skills I've pertained throughout all classes. Being an FFA definitely has helped me because of the leadership side of it. Like, the agriculture part really didn't have anything to do with me, but the leadership part definitely helped me throughout high school. My first elective artifact is my solo ensemble from last year. Last year, I was kind of heartbroken when I learned that my band teacher was going to be leaving. But before he told me that, I definitely pushed myself to do something that I never have dreamt myself of doing. I went and competed at the solo ensemble in Algona and received a Division I rating on my solo. The reason I chose this was because it showed my dedication towards my playing, but it also showed that I was able to push myself and do something that I most likely wouldn't have done if I didn't have my band teacher along with myself pushing continuously and telling myself that I could do it. Something that went really well was, like I said, listening to my band teacher and pretty much having him tell me that I could do it, and being able to do it was something that really went well with this. Something that could have improved was definitely practicing more. I've always been told there's never enough time to practice, and I definitely learned that when he gave me my music and I'm like, oh, I'll just wait a couple weeks, I'll just play in my lessons. Well, it definitely showed that I could have played more towards the beginning instead of trying to push it all in at the end and learn it all plus perfect it at the end. Something I learned, like I already stated, that pushing myself does lead to great accomplishments. I've always been a person that kind of backs away from the things that I could do, and which I've learned, especially through this artifact, that pushing myself really can lead to great accomplishments. My next artifact is a graduate survival guide reflection that I had to do for my bank finance class. This class, going into it, it was kind of questionable because I really didn't think I had money problems that everyone talks about, and it really didn't seem like a class I needed to be taking at this point in time. But when I got into the class, it's like, oh, I should have started thinking about this stuff when I was a freshman in high school and building up that money and having it for the future. So the reason I chose this artifact was because it showed that I was able to write a paper about something that I really honestly didn't enjoy learning about, but it was something that was very important for my life in the future. Something that went really well was connecting the information from the book I had to read, which was the Graduate Survival Guide. And this was focused around Dave Ramsey's program, which we took through like the high school standpoint. But it showed that I was able to take information from the book and make it into a paper that was well constructed. Something that could have been improved, kind of focused around the procrastination part again, was reading the book throughout the semester. My teacher, Mrs. Walders, gave us the book at the beginning of the semester and told us, read the book and turn in a paper by the end of the semester. So waiting until the last week was really not ideal. Even though the book was really short, it was kind of a different kind of book. It was a question and answer book, so it was a lot easier reading, but like I said, waiting until the last week was probably not ideal. Something I learned is that directly from the class, is that there are many aspects of staying out of debt. They're always like, the one thing I remember is pay cash for college, and every day I would hear that. I'd go home to mom and I'm like, how am I supposed to pay cash for college? It is so expensive. She's like, you'll be fine. And there were many times where that question would come up in class, how am I supposed to pay cash for college? So that was kind of something that always stuck out to me. And now I realize that it really does take up a lot of time and effort to build up that money for the future. My last artifact is my service learning artifact. This was definitely one of the most meaningful artifacts for me, just because I was able to help the people of the community along with just the people here in the school. The amount of hours I've had is 220 hours and a half because of all of these activities that I've partaked in. The dance showcase, I helped with running the music for 4 years. The first year was a little bit more difficult because I had to do it from the stage before we had the sound system. So it was a little difficult, and we had all different CDs, so I switched out CDs. But this year and years leading up to this, it definitely got easier with the sound system, and Mrs. Jungers was always willing to be the most organized and always had the songs right in order for me. Then moving into pep band, which is another activity, this past year, we played pep band a half hour before the dance showcase, just for a little bit of entertainment before. And then we also played for the dance team during this show. I did that 2 years, once with Mr. Peterson and this year with Mrs. Dorter. But that kind of showed off our talents. Working with the dance team was kind of difficult due to different speeds and always kind of, I don't know, like the tempo was always different, it seemed like. But being able to adapt to them and them adapting to us really meant a lot. The Granger Terrell Elementary Summer School I helped with 2 years ago was a lot of fun. Also, it really helped me to know what I wanted to do in the future. Being able to help all of the teachers with different subjects like math and science and reading, being able to help them really showed me that I could actually become a teacher in the future, and that it's something that I really enjoy. And being able to interact with the children was a lot of fun for me. The last activity that I've been involved in is cleaning a house for a family friend that lost his wife about 3 years ago. His daughters were quite worried about how he was going to keep his house clean and everything else about his house. So I offered to start cleaning his house, and he's always like, "What can I pay you? What can I pay you?" I'm like, "Nothing." It strictly comes from the bottom of the heart. It's so great to be able to help people that are in need of the help. And lastly, my future. I plan to attend University of Northern Iowa next year and major in elementary education with a minor in special education. This has definitely been a goal of mine ever since I was very young, and having the influence from many great teachers that I've had throughout high school and middle school, but also the great influence from my mom. She's definitely been a great influence for me, and being able to go and work in all their classrooms over in Terrell and even helping the preschoolers here has definitely been a great influence for me. Some goals that I plan to succeed in the future are definitely succeeding in college. I've always been told college is a lot harder than high school because you don't have that one-to-one help all the time. So definitely succeeding in college is definitely the first goal in getting to my future job. And then again, finding a job that I enjoy. I've always been worried about what other people think about me and what other people want me to do. I've always tried to, I guess, have people know that I'm going to do stuff for them. Well, now it's come to my part where I need to find a job and do things for myself. Some challenges and obstacles that I could possibly face in the future is the struggle with the college classes. Like I said, I won't have that one-to-one help like I have all throughout high school. It's going to be more of I do it and I know when it's due. So being able to overcome that by joining maybe study groups or having the help from a roommate or even just simple people around like that are in the same dorm as me. Just being able to get that help will definitely help me overcome the struggle of college courses. Another big challenge that I will probably face is homesickness. I've always been a person that has stayed around Granger. I mean, I went with a couple family members to Virginia for a week and I got homesick. So being homesick is definitely an obstacle that I may face. So overcoming this one, I could possibly join some groups on campus and be able just to find some new friends and meet new friends that I know I can go to at any time. So 5 to 10 years from now, I hope to be graduated from college with a Bachelor of Arts degree in education, and then hopefully finding a job close back to here in Grettinger, because it's always been my home and I don't plan on changing that for anything. So thank you guys so much for watching my Titans Jam tonight, and are there any questions?
Why or why not are these Titan Jams a true representation of what kids at Grettinger and Terrell, with the Nature High School here, are doing on a day-to-day basis?
I think that somewhat are, but then somewhat not. I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't included in these that could be. There are a lot of things that I've done throughout high school that aren't necessarily included in this. This is mainly just 8 artifacts that meant a lot to me throughout high school.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you think you've been a role model for peers in high school? Or
I-
underclassmen?
I honestly think I have. A very good example of this was when a freshman this year coming into her freshman year, honestly, I was scared as a freshman. Coming into high school, you have all these older people, but she got very sick and was not able to come to school. So being the good role model that I was, I went down to her house and helped her with a few assignments that she wasn't understanding. So that's just one example that definitely shows that I was a great role model for high school.
Thank you. You did a great job on the presentation. That was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice.
One last question that we were asked to ask
Okay.
each of you.
Okay.
Why you, and what sets you apart from other seniors and gives you the advantage?
Oh, that's hard. Let's see. Definitely the valedictorian part. That's kind of just shown that even with all of the activities I've been involved in, it's definitely shown that I've been able to work hard and keep all my grades up. And just being a role model through student council and NHS has definitely shown that that younger classmen can do that as well. It's definitely been a great honor to be one of those people that people can look up to in high school.
One more question. With the growing use of technology, what can we do here at our high school to ensure that students are always using it appropriately, even in study hall, for instance?
Oh, that's that. We're supposed to have this system. I don't even remember what it's called, but we're supposed to have this system in which our technology guy can watch what we're doing on our screens, which I honestly don't think that that's set all the way. So one thing that could definitely be done is that we don't get to use our laptops in study hall. I mean, there's a lot of assignments that have to be done on our laptops, but there could be many ways, like a sign-out sheet or something, in order for our study hall person to know that they're going to be on their computers.
I was actually more concerned with the use of cell phones.
Oh gosh.
He's not being a stinker at all, is he?
No, I knew this was gonna. I walked in. I know this is gonna happen. Somebody's gonna come up with something. Let's see, cell phones. Well, in Spanish class, she makes us put our cell phones in there, which doesn't happen all the time. But definitely something that could be done is just getting rid of cell phones. Don't even bring your cell phone into school, which I know high schoolers aren't gonna do that. But and personally, I'm not on my phone a lot during school. I mean, if I know, one big time is when I know there's gonna be if there's a family emergency that happened the night before. That's one instance where I'm on my phone, but honestly, personally, I'm not on my phone all the time, so.
I appreciate your honesty.
I gotta go stop this thing. I should have stopped it a long time ago.